Sometimes when I get excited, I speak too fast. And many times I don't make sense. And what do you do when I do that? Just stop me. In a small group, just say you're not making sense, or just say slow down, and ask me at that point, okay? The only reason I'm here today is so that you guys will live there by overcoming some urban legends about this executive order, okay? The first thing I'll tell you is, today, the executive order is not applicable. It's suspended, okay? So this is going to be a very difficult talk, because we're talking about something that may be, something that was, something that's no more, but something that may be tomorrow. So we're talking about almost a hypothetical situation. But it's not very hypothetical because it's based on something that happened about 3 weeks ago. Okay? Does anybody know when the executive order passed?
That's Sunday, right?
It was a Friday.
Friday, all right.
Friday the 27th.
Yeah.
On Friday the 27th, at around 4:30 p.m., President Donald Trump signed an executive order that affects almost every immigrant in the United States. There's a big urban legend that's false. They call it a Muslim ban. This is not simply a Muslim ban. This is something that affects everybody who's coming to the United States, regardless of their religion, regardless of their nationality. This order was a huge draconian order, okay? I'll tell you the effects that it had. The first effect was it suspended visa processing, meaning there are no more new visas for people coming from 7 countries. Does anybody know those 7 countries? Iran, Iraq, Syria, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. Those 7 countries. So the order said no visas for 90 days for any person that's coming to the United States. And the order said no non-immigrant visas or immigrant visas. Do you guys know the difference between non-immigrant and immigrant? If you're here on a student visa, you're a non-immigrant. Most visas are non-immigrant visas, meaning that you're here for a temporary duration to do something specific. You want to come see Times Square and Disneyland? You get a tourist visa. That's a non-immigrant visa. You want to come here to work professionally? You get an H-1 visa, or an O-1 visa, or an E visa, or an L visa. Those are non-immigrant visas. Okay? What's an immigrant visa? Somebody who can stay here indefinitely and not with a specific purpose. What's the street term for an immigrant visa? What? Huh? Green card, alien card, green card. What color is the green card? It's not a trick. It's not green anymore. It's got a little green stripe on it. But somebody who's here in the United States indefinitely, who can remain here, doesn't have to work. If she wants to work, she can work, doesn't have to go to school. Those people are called immigrants. And they come to the United States with an immigrant visa. Okay? After they enter the United States, they get a green card. So the rule, the first thing that the rule said, for 90 days, from January 27th, which was going to be April 27th, no more visas, immigrant or non-immigrant, to people coming from those 7 countries. That's part 1.
Citizens
People coming from those countries, that was the problem. The way that the executive order was written, it didn't only say citizens. It says people coming from. This is extremely crucial. You're a German citizen, you are doing research in Libya, and you were on a flight from Libya to the United States. You were also affected under this, because the language was very vague. And I'll tell you, first I'll give you the facts, and I'll tell you about what really happened after the facts. Okay? So it said anybody coming from those 7 countries. The second thing it said, if you're coming from those 7 countries, even if you have a valid visa, even if you already have your student visa in your pocket, we're not going to let you back into the United States until April 27th. So, even if your visa is still valid, if you come after I sign this thing and knock on the door and say, can I come in? I want to go back to school. You cannot come back until April 27th. That was a major problem because the executive order came at 4:30. With the time difference, there were tons of people that were already on the planes flying to the United States. So when they actually boarded that plane and the plane took off, they were okay to come to the United States. But somewhere over the Atlantic, the rule changed and they were not welcome anymore until April 27th. The rule also said this also includes people from those 7 countries that are coming back with green cards. Think about this. You got a green card, you're married to a US citizen, or you've been living in the United States through your employment, you got a green card, you had a death in the family, you had to go for a funeral, or something fun, to a wedding, or just to see your parents. You're coming back. On the plane, the rule changes. And they say, you need to go back. You cannot come back until April 27th. Can you imagine what a chaos something like this could create? So again, repeating myself, let's go with the facts here. The first thing it said, no more new visas until April 27th for people from those countries. And no more admission to the United States until April 27th for people coming from those countries, regardless of their citizenship, even if they have a green card. So again, you're a German citizen, you're vacationing, or you went for a research or a conference in Libya, you're coming back with a student visa. The way that the executive order was written, you were not welcome back until April 27th. The rule said until April 27th, the United States Department of State and the Department of Homeland Security will come up with better procedures and techniques and systems to make the United States secure, the visa services to be secure. And after that, we will start reissuing the visas and we will start inviting the people back. That was the justification behind the rule. Every rule must have a justification. When your parents say you cannot go out this weekend, what's the first question you ask?
Why?
Why? That's the justification. And the justification was this. Okay? So that was the first part, saying people who are citizens of those 7 countries, including dual citizens, which for instance upset the people in France. There are lots of French Libyans. They were born in Libya, but they live in France. French Syrians, even though they've been living in France for many years because they were born in Libya or Syria, even though as a French citizen they can enter the United States without a visa for 90 days, they automatically became inadmissible to the United States. Okay? So that was the first part. So this first part affected you only if you were a citizen or a dual citizen of one of those countries, or if you were traveling from one of those countries, or if you have a spouse, whatever, from those countries. The second part, which I still don't have an answer for, I don't know what's happening with that, affects almost everybody. In some countries, like Japan, if you want to renew your F1 visa, student visa, you don't have to go to the consulate again. All you do is mail your passport. It's called a visa interview waiver. And they'll mail back you your passport. The rules stopped that too. The rule said from now on, There are no visa interview waivers. You have to appear in person, no matter how many visas that you had in the past, and you will have to get that visa in person. Okay? So the first part, the 7 countries, the people coming from those 7 countries, including green card holders. Second part, the visa interviews, there's no waiver for that, you have to appear in person. Third part was about refugees. Does everybody know who a refugee is? There's a difference between asylum and refugee, okay? An asylee and a refugee are in the United States or want to come to the United States for the same reason. They fear political persecution, they fear religious persecution, some harm is gonna come if they stay in their home countries, okay? The difference between a refugee and an asylee is at what point they apply. If you're already in the United States, or if you're in France, Canada, doesn't matter. If you're saying, don't send me back home, if I go back home, something terrible will happen to me or my family, then you're an asylee, okay? If you're outside of the United States and say, please take me to the United States, otherwise something terrible will happen to me, then you're a refugee, okay? So somebody who's afraid of their life outside of the United States is a refugee. Somebody who's afraid in the United States is an asylee, okay? It's a major distinction, important distinction. So the rule said, no more refugees from whatever country, doesn't matter, for 120 days. The rule said we may make exceptions on a person-by-person basis, depending on their circumstances, but as a rule, no more refugees for 120 days. The rule also said no more refugees from Syria indefinitely. Someday we will remove that ban, but as of today, it's not a 120-day deadline, it's an indefinite ban. So any refugee coming from anywhere in the world, it stopped them from 120 days from coming to the United States. And for Syrians, it stopped them from coming indefinitely. It created a minor exception. It said if you belong to a minority group in your country that you're escaping from, then we may give you priority. Also, the United States has an allotment or quota for 50,000 refugees this year. The rule also cuts that into half. It says even if we start bringing in refugees, it's going to be limited to 25,000. So, what happened? The rule came out at 4:30. What happened? Have you guys followed the news? People went into panic mode. There was chaos. The main reason for the chaos were the people that were already up in the air. Because they came to the airport, and in the United States, under the US Constitution, we use it a lot. That's one of the reasons that this is a great country. It's a civilized country. It's called due process. Due process means that they cannot take away your rights, no matter who you are, without legal protections. Somebody cannot arrest you on the street because they don't like you. They cannot search you on the street because you look suspicious. They have to exercise due process, and when somebody is not given an option for them to follow the law, then that's a due process violation. If people knew before they boarded the planes, they had the chance to make a decision. Am I going to, I don't respect the rule, I respect the rule, doesn't matter. Am I going to follow the rule or not? That's a decision. But when the rule changes and you have no control over that plane, then in that case, that's a violation of your due process. So ACLU, American Civil Liberty, there are a couple of organizations that are amazing for immigrants in the United States and refugees. One is ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union. The other one is the oldest refugee organization, HIAS, Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society. And there's the Catholic Charities. There are lots of organizations that help with immigration and refugee situations. But the most active ones have always been ACLU and HIAS. And ACLU went into court immediately on Saturday. Courts are open actually on Saturdays for emergencies. So they went to the federal court. As you know, in the United States, there are two separate systems. There's the state system. States have their own constitutions. Think about it as the European Union. Every state has their internal rules and their court system. And on the other side, you got the federal system. Immigration is a federal matter. It's not a state matter. All the rules, everything that's related to immigration are federal. So ACLU went to a federal judge, went to a couple of federal judges. In Virginia, a couple of other states, and in the Eastern District of New York, the Federal District of New York. You know where the Eastern District of New York is? It's Brooklyn. It's basically up in downtown Brooklyn on Cadman Plaza. When you become a citizen, that's where you go, swear it off, and become a citizen. And that's where the federal court is. And they went to a judge and they said to the judge almost the very same thing that I told you. They said, we're not arguing the wisdom of this executive order. We're not arguing the legality or the constitutionality of this executive order, because that's going to take a long time. We want a decision today based on due process, because these people are stuck in airports and they're about to be deported back, which we believe is un-American and unconstitutional. So this was not about the merits or the content. This was about the execution, okay? And the judge agreed. Saturday afternoon, the judge said, yes, I agree. This is a violation of due process. So all the people that were on the route when the executive order was signed should be admitted to the United States. This is like you get a driver's license when you're 16. When you're 16 and a half, when you're driving, the state changes the minimum age to 17. They pull you over before you even know that the driver license will change. So this was what happened at that Brooklyn court was limited to this. It was not about whether or not this is a wise order, this is a good order. It was about how it was executed. With me so far? So, and people, activists, concerned citizens, volunteer attorneys, everybody flocked to the airports. JFK was a nut house. There were dancing, there were protests, there were chants. And when the order came, they slowly started releasing the people back into the United States. It took all the way to Sunday. And during that time, we were hearing crazy reports. The flight that's about to land in Los Angeles, the airline people are asking people to sign papers saying that they are abandoning their green cards. We were hearing people who are not permitted here, even though they're not from those countries or did not travel to those countries. Some of it was fact, some of it was fiction. That's the problem with social media these days. In the last 6 months, we've been talking a lot about false news reports, fraudulent news reports. it's always in the news. And unfortunately, that kind of propaganda also happened. There were lots of falsities. But at the end of the day, most people who were affected were admitted to the United States. Sunday, about less than 48 hours after the executive order, President Trump backstabbed. President Trump said, oops, we made a mistake. This rule doesn't apply to green card holders. So that issue, you remember I said people coming from those countries with green cards will also not be admitted? That issue became a non-issue on Sunday. So if you have a green card, if you're traveling from one of those countries, the ban stopped, but it took about a couple of days for it to settle down. In the meantime, ACLU, HIAS, they all lobbied for stopping this rule. The argument was this: okay, if you're the American president, you have a right to make your own policies. We respect that. But if you're going to make your policies, you're going to make it in a constitutional way where people's due process rights are not violated. So there were lots of legal arguments. And some of the states, like I told you, state governments and the federal government are different. Some of the states decided to sue President Trump in federal court. States have that right under the 11th Amendment. The state said in the federal court, the judge, stop President Trump from this executive order. It's called a temporary restraining order. It's not a final decision. It's an emergency order. For some issue like this, a constitutional issue like this, it may take years in court to reach a decision. Because each side has to argue, they have to prepare their paperwork, they have to bring their witnesses, their experts, it takes years. So courts have something called emergency procedures. An emergency procedure is when you say to the court, look court, we sued this person. It may take years, but in the meantime, we will get hurt. So if you think that there's a chance that we may win, if you think that ours is a good faith case, a good intentioned case, and if you believe that people are going to be hurt because of this, please give an executive, immediate, emergency, temporary restraining order so that until this thing is settled, no further people get hurt. Okay, that's what's a TRO, temporary restraining order. You see in those films, in the criminal dramas, like somebody stalking another person, and it may take months for the police to do their investigation, but immediately they put a temporary restraining order, saying that that person cannot come close to 200 yards to you, or cannot come to your house, or in like commercial matters, it happens in every country. There's a litigation, they are suing you for $1 million, and they say during that time you cannot sell your house because we have an interest in that house. That's a temporary measure. Okay? That's precisely exactly what happened in this case. So a judge named Roman, who actually happened to be a Republican nominee, he happened to be a Bush nominee. Judges are nominated by presidents, federal judges. Judge Roman, many immigration attorneys were thinking that no, he's not going to issue the temporary restraining order. He said, you know what? I don't think this was executed properly, and I think it will cause harm if we let this go. So he said, I'm going to stop this temporarily until we look at the merits and the constitutionality of this executive order. So on February 4th, Judge Roman issued a temporary restraining order in Seattle, which affected the entire country. It suspended the executive order, but it did not suspend everything. One thing it did not suspend, and I still cannot get an answer about what's happening with this. I have a client who's trying for a visa by mail in Japan next week. That's why I said Japan. I'm not sure if they're still doing it or not. But the only thing it did not suspend was two things it did not suspend was that you cannot waive in-person visa interviews. You still have to appear in person. I don't know in practice how that's working out right now because nobody knows at this point. The second part was the president can increase those numbers of the countries from 7 to 20 to whatever number that he wants to. So right now the president can actually add other countries and also can extend that 90 days. Okay? So this is what happened from a legal standpoint. So President Trump's team immediately complained and appealed. You know what an appeal is? An appeal is when you don't like something and you go to a higher court and say that the lower court made a mistake. Again, the issue here was only the temporary restraining order. It's not the content, it's not the constitutionality, it's not the legality of the executive order. It was only about procedure. So the Trump team went to the Court of Appeals, the Federal Court of Appeals. The United States is divided to districts because this was in Seattle. It belonged to the Ninth Circuit, and they went to the Ninth Circuit. Ninth Circuit decided to hear the case, and Ninth Circuit actually has 3 judges. When you go to an appeal, you don't go in front of one judge, but you go in front of a panel of judges. You go to the Supreme Court, how many judges are there? 9. On usual Court of Appeals is 3. 2 of those judges were Republican appointees, one was an Obama appointee. Again, the judges looked at it last week. There was actually a live discussion from the Trump attorneys and the state attorneys. You could have listened to it on the internet. And the court, 2 days after the hearing, decided that the judge was not wrong, and they said that the temporary restraining order is going to stay. Okay? So that means that as long as the temporary restraining order is here, people can come back to the United States, people can apply for visas, refugees may be readmitted. The next move, and we're still talking about the execution of this thing, that the White House can do is, A, they can appeal this to the US Supreme Court. And the US Supreme Court may overturn the temporary restraining order, again in an emergency hearing, or they can continue with it. And right now, I ask you how many justices are in the US Supreme Court?
8.
But right now, in reality, you know how many? There are 8. Because a justice passed away last year, and President Obama was not able to fill that position because of congressional conflict, let's say. So the way that lawyers always follow up the Supreme Court justices and their decisions, the way it is right now, it looks like if it goes to Supreme Court, it's going to be a 4-4 tie. That's why it's always smart when you have a board of directors, when you start a company, whatever, to go with an odd number instead of an even number. So that way you don't have ties. When you have even numbers, you can always go 4-4. So if it's a tie, then in that case, the suspended temporary restraining order will continue. Okay? The second thing that the White House can do is, which to me, that's what I would have done, is to come up with a better executive order. Even more restrictive, maybe, but procedurally correct. Which is the scarier situation. So right now, we don't know what they will do. I heard rumors 2 days ago that there was a new executive order in the talks. I think it was just an exercise. Maybe they're playing with the idea of drafting an executive order. Supreme Court appeal is probably going to happen, but right now everything is up in the air. But as of today, the executive order is suspended. However, like I said, this is an emergency measure. It's a temporary measure. meaning that eventually the court, Judge Rovan, will have to make a decision on the merits, whether or not this was a legal executive order or not. If the judge finds that, yes, it was a legal order, then it will go back into the books again and it will become effective again. So, people get excited on the news, social media, and they say stuff like, oh, the executive order is terminated. It's not. The application of the executive order is suspended until the court makes a full decision. With me so far? So this is from the procedural side. And then there was the administrative side.
What if they do?
No, you'll have to file another temporary restraining order. You'll have to go through the entire thing all over again. So the administrative part is this. I told you about the Department of State, the consulates, and the Department of Homeland Security. When you're a foreign person, okay, you have to deal with both of them. The Department of State has jurisdiction. You know what jurisdiction is? Has power over people who are outside of the United States. So if you're in Germany, Turkey, wherever you want to come here, you're dealing with the US Department of State. Okay? Once you knock on the door, starting at the airport, then you deal with the Department of Homeland Security. So if you want to extend your visa, you have to go to an embassy. But if you want to extend your status as a student or change your status, you deal with the Department of Homeland Security. Okay? Those are the two major government administrative bodies that deals with non-citizens. The Department of State through their consular section from the visa issuance, and Homeland Security through their three branches. One is called CIS, it's called Citizenship and Immigration Services. When you apply for your OPT, when you apply for a change of status, you apply to CIS. That's their benefits division. There's the CBP, which is the Customs and Border Patrol. Those are the guys that actually are at the airport that are looking at your passport. And then there's ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Those are the ones who are responsible for detaining and arresting people and just, if necessary, deporting people. What happened administratively was, unfortunately, none of these administrative bodies were fully prepared and fully briefed about the executive order. So part of the chaos on Friday and Saturday and Sunday after the executive order was because many officers at the airport, consular officers, did not know anything about this. It was a surprise to them too. And many consular officers from the Department of State actually wrote a protesting telegram. It's funny, they still communicate with cables. That's a Department of State thing. They still send cables. It's an old tradition. And there were many of them who resigned because they felt that they couldn't function with a rule like this because they were completely unprepared. So there was actually resistance coming from both administrative bodies, both the Homeland Security and Department of State said, you should have given us better briefs, better preparation, and better guidelines to deal with this situation. That also helped with the court decisions. The fact that there was not enough preparation done at this point. And one thing that worried everybody, including me, when the executive order first came, it first talked about visas and admissions, then it talked about benefits. It said no benefits to people from those 7 countries. When you read benefits as a regular person, you can think about any kind of benefits, but when you read benefits as an immigration attorney or immigration professional, benefits in immigration mean something very specific. Like applying for a green card is a benefit, getting married to a US citizen and getting a green card is a benefit. Applying for citizenship and getting the citizenship or naturalization is a benefit. Applying for your OPT is a benefit. Applying for a change of status is a benefit. So the way that it was written was, it was also include like, it would leave room for Homeland Security to suspend the citizenship, the green cards, the OPTs, the change of status of whoever that may be affected. So there was chaos about that too. And Homeland Security on Wednesday after the executive order said, you know, this is not gonna affect the benefits. It's just sloppy writing, that's not what it intended to do. We're not gonna touch the people's benefits. So the reason I'm telling you all this stuff was because of the execution, because of the lack of preparation. It was a nightmare, it was a chaos. And that's one of the main reasons why the court actually suspended its execution at this point. But if the executive office, which is their right, if they come up with another executive order, which may even be more strict, but with better guidelines and procedural measures, it may also fly. So as of today, what's today, the 16th, 15th, 16th? As of 16th of February 2017, the executive order is temporarily suspended. Okay? People are still having a difficulty getting new visas. That's not gonna change anytime soon. People are still having a hard time entering the United States. Many people are, regardless of their nationality, from wherever they're traveling, they're getting questioned, maybe for hours, but they are all admissible. Nobody's banned or prohibited from coming to the United States. With me so far? There are, like I said, lots of rumors and lots of lies about this. So you need to look at the facts. This is not a good thing, the executive order, but some people are just making it look worse than it really is. Okay, right now, this is where we are. It's suspended. It may be resurrected. But as of today, we don't have it. It's just lying somewhere asleep, okay? So what are the recommendations at this point? If you're from one of those countries, if you're a citizen or a dual citizen of one of those countries, unless there's an emergency, I suggest you do not leave the country, even if you have a valid visa. If you don't have a valid visa and you need to get a renewal, I suggest don't do it right now. Stay here. I understand family emergencies, if you cannot avoid it, go. If you have a valid visa, but if not, try to stay. Domestic travel is not affected at all. As a matter of fact, if you happen to have a New York State ID or driver's license, not the city ID, but the New York State driver's license, that's actually enough for you to travel. As far as TSA is concerned, unless you're going to Hawaii or Puerto Rico. So domestic travel is not affected right now. There are rumors that there are immigration raids and people are being rounded up. Mm-hmm. That's also blown out of proportion at this point. There are always immigration raids. In some states, it increased a little. In New York, I checked it yesterday, since the executive order, about 40 people were arrested. That's not a huge number compared to what was happening 10 years ago. Nevertheless, 40 since the executive order, a couple of weeks. So, again, the United States, as a legitimate sovereign country, has the right to deport people. We're all guests here. Unless you become a citizen, you're a guest. And if you don't follow the rules, every house has their own rules. Some say you have to take off your shoes. Some say no hats in the house. Every house has different rules, and this house has its own rules too. If you don't follow the rules, if you violate the rules, of course they can say we don't want you. Okay? But it's not happening in a disproportionate way at this point. And immigration's target right now is deporting people who have criminal offenses first. So instead of like regular people who happen to violate their immigration status, they target people who committed criminal offenses in the United States first. That doesn't mean that you should violate your status. You're a guest here, you should follow the rules. Okay? It's easier to follow the rules and play by the rules than going spending fortunes on lawyers trying to protect yourself. With me so far? It's your question? Okay, let's just speak about it privately after this. I got a question saying that I have a work authorization. Okay, what kind of work authorization? Pardon? CPT. Is your visa still valid? Okay, so you can go to Canada, no problems. Okay, you can go to Ireland, no problems, as long as your visa is valid. Make sure that your I-20 is signed by school before you leave.
That's no problem.
That's no problem. There were cases, small mistakes, okay? We think about governments as, we tend to think about governments as perfect entities. They are not. Governments, corporations, from Apple to whatever country that you want to see, from Twitter to Facebook, they're all made of people, okay? And people make mistakes. That's normal. Okay? So there were lots of individual mistakes that they did. For instance, a US citizen who was born in the United States, whose parents happened to be from India, who was not a Muslim, who was actually working at a high clearance job at NASA, got stopped at the airport. This was on national news, and was kept there for 12, 14 hours. And the immigration officers also searched the person's cell phone, which was actually a secure cell phone given by NASA. This was just sheer, plain stupidity. But it was not an institutional error, it was an individual error. So don't get discouraged by individual stories. Always look at the facts, okay? One thing that everybody needs to be careful. This is not because I'm thinking you're doing something illegal. It's because of privacy. I believe in privacy. When you're entering the United States, they have a right to look at your phone and your computer. So if you don't want your private affairs to be seen by other people, just in case, log out from all your social media. They cannot make you log back in. Log out from your emails. You have something with your girlfriend, your boyfriend, you don't want anybody to see that. Take precautions, because it's their legal right to take a look at your phone and your computer.
What do you think you look at?
They say, just turn on your computer, just put your thumbprint, put your passcode, whatever it is. But they cannot make you sign into your Facebook.
They can't look at your files.
They can actually, if the computer is on, they can look at your files, they can search your files. That's how they actually catch criminals.
This is anybody, citizen or.
Anybody, citizen or anybody. For instance, like large companies, there is lots of industrial espionage going on in the Far East. Because of that reason, for instance, many large companies will not let you take your iPhone with you when you're going to China or this trip or someplace. They'll actually give you this old-fashioned phones where there's no data or there's no access to your files or whatever. And both sides, when you're entering another country, you go to Turkey, they want to search your phone, they can search it. Same thing in the United States. And they catch lots of bad people. That's one of the main ways that they catch child pornography, which is a great thing. But by the same token, they can also violate your personal privacy when you're doing nothing bad.
I'm from Colombia, and I have one friend that she came Friday, and she have to come back to Colombia because they discovered that she was working here. She will have tourist visa, yeah, and for the phone they discovered
What's she working at? Where is she working at?
in a restaurant.
Huh?
In a restaurant. Just like that, she stayed 2 months, and she come back to Colombia, and she came Friday, and
She's on a student visa?
no, she was like a tourist for one
3
photo.
days ago, there was panic in the Turkish American community. Okay? There was a woman, she was supposed to be an architect, and she was not permitted back into the United States with a tourist visa. And they said that she cannot come back for 5 years, and they canceled her visa.
The same to my
Okay.
friend.
And everybody was panicked. The Turkish portals, the news things, everybody's like, that's a Muslim discrimination. That's because of Turks, they're not on the list, but it's just a discrimination on Turks, whatever. And this woman, for a project, for an architectural project, she went to Iraq many years ago. And they were saying it's because of the executive order, it's a religious discrimination, blah, blah, blah. This woman contacted me. And I said, what happened? She said, they were so mean to me, they yelled at me, they made me cry. It's all because I'm a Muslim. And basically they looked at my phone, they asked me, did they ask you about Iraq? No, it's like after they decided to deport me, they mentioned Iraq. They give you a paper because they have to give you a paper, which is the transcript of your conversation. That paper was not about her religion. That paper was not about her country. That paper was about the fact that she was working at a restaurant illegally.
Mm-hmm.
They looked at her phone, they opened her calendar, and they saw her shifts. She actually wrote her shifts. And she had $56 on her pocket when she arrived in the United States. The conversation started from that $56. How are you going to survive in New York with $56? I got credit cards. Are you sure you're not working? She finally, when they saw the calendar, she admitted that she's been working at 2 restaurants illegally. It's illegal for someone with a tourist visa to work, no matter how you look at it. Okay? It's illegal. And once you do something illegal, I told you about the house rules. They will not let you in, and if you're in, they may kick you out because you violated the rules. Okay? So in your friend's case, unfortunately, there is nothing that can be done
No,
at this point.
she's in Colombia.
That's what I wanted to talk about, your fact and fiction. This woman's story, it looked like it was discrimination, but there was no discrimination whatsoever. That's the way that the story became out of control and projected. So don't look at individual cases. Look at the facts. Okay?
We actually don't have any more time in the room. Arda will be happy to answer any questions that you guys have, but I think they might be coming to kick us out. Does anyone have any last minute questions? Nothing? All right, let's give it up for Arda. Thank you so much, Arda.